Hello, Gages Lake. Happy Wednesday. Today is July 20th, and we are quickly heading through July, and we're excited to just continue through this month. I just wanted to give you a quick update and let you know how things are going. Don't forget this coming Sunday, come be a part of the church service. Our speaker this Sunday is Mark Tantillo, and he's going to be continuing with the little stories and big impact, and so I encourage you to be a part of that. He's such a dear friend to me, and I know that he's spoken here several times already, and so just come and be encouraged as God works through him. That's this Sunday, and then as we continue on, next Sunday, the following Sunday, which would be July the 31st, we will have one of our own speaking, John Tate. He's going to be sharing with you a message that is through the little stories, and so make plans to be a part of that as well. We usually have, when there's a 5-Sunday month, we usually take the evening on the 5th Sunday and have a praise service and dinner because we're out of town, and because the next Sunday, we're going to go ahead and move it to the next Sunday. August the 7th is our church picnic, and so you've heard announcements about that, and that's going to be right after the morning service, so come be a part. That morning we'll have the burgers and hot dogs and things for the back, and you guys bring sides and desserts, and it'll be a great time as a church family. It's also going to give us an opportunity to fellowship together. As we look ahead to the fall, we're praying about and considering different things, and I mentioned it last week in the Wednesday update that the 21st of August is going to be kind of like a vision, like a kickoff Sunday for our new thoughts for the fall, for our families, for our church, not just people with kids, but all of our church together. We do consider us a family. And so we're looking at trying to bring a holistic approach to all of our things being inclusive and just joining together. Not to say we won't have men's Bible studies or women's Bible studies or small groups or things, but just trying to help families worship together as well as grow together, as well as have fun together. And so the 21st of August, so that's several weeks out, we're going to do a special Sunday service that morning as we look at the fall activities. I just wanted to say that my wife and I have been, we're kind of cleaning up my office. It's been kind of rough. Things just kind of, migrate in here. And in doing so, as we've been cleaning, you might see it on Sunday whenever we get this done, but we're going to put the boxes. I have some books that I'd like to, I don't want to say throw away, but they're just books that are kind of taking up too much room and creating clutter. And so if you come on Sunday and you see boxes of books sitting out in the foyer, those are free. Take them. I will say this, that some of them are old. Some of them, if I could say this carefully, they may not line up with where I am theologically or where I am personally. So I just make a little disclaimer that there might be books that you're like, whoa, Pastor Jay believes it. It doesn't mean that I believe this. These are just books that have slowly accrued in the corner or on the bookshelf, and we just are trying to make space, trying to make it look nicer. And they're ones that necessarily I've read, but but God can use books of all kinds, and you might find some that are interesting to you to read. So please take as many as you want. If you see one and you take it, awesome. If not, we'll leave it out there for a couple of weeks, and if they're still there in the 1st of August or so, we'll donate them somewhere so someone else can make use of them. So, but I just want to let you know that they're out there. They're free. They're just, take as much as you want. So there's that. As we continue forward. Our sermon series, I hope it's been an encouragement to you. This past Sunday would have been Kurt, and I hope that his message on the parable of the sower was a blessing, an encouragement, also a challenge to you. And that the parables of Jesus are true little stories that have big impacts. So I'm thankful for Kurt and his friendship and being able to speak. I just wanted to share a quick thought from the Word today. We are actually in these Wednesday updates doing little stories as well. And we did 2 weeks ago. We talked about, I don't remember what we talked about. we did. I know we did Caleb last Wednesday, and as we are looking at different little stories of the Bible and how they can play a big impact. Sometimes it might be a big character that we know a lot about, but it might be a little event in that character, a little story of that character, and even though it might be little, it does play a big impact. Today I just wanted to read from Acts, and so we're looking at the New Testament, Acts chapter number 10, and all of us know Peter. There's not many people who have never heard of the Apostle Peter. As a matter of fact, I mean, even in the Catholic circle, I mean, Peter is the guy, okay? He's the disciple in the Gospels that is always gung-ho, that is always the first to speak, and he's the disciple that God used at Pentecost to introduce to a large number of people to the gospel. And Peter is pretty much a big deal when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to the beginnings of the church, when it comes to not our faith, but it comes to faith, like the idea of the church and its teachings. And so Peter, a lot of people can relate with Peter. Maybe we relate with Peter at the beginning when he's really, I'm not a clean guy. I'm not that person. Or we relate with Peter in the sense that maybe we speak before we think, like that kind of idea. Maybe we relate with Peter in the gung-ho, like we're all in. Maybe we relate with Peter when we get caught up in sin and we say, Christianity, I'm not what are you talking about in the world? Like when Peter denies Jesus 3 times. And there's a lot that we can connect with Peter. This story, Acts chapter 10, is a little story, but I think it plays a big impact. Acts chapter 10 is the story of Peter and a guy by the name of Cornelius. Now, Cornelius would be the little story part of Peter's life. Cornelius was a centurion. He was not a Jewish person. He was in the Roman army, and he received a vision, okay, at the beginning of the chapter from God saying, hey, you need to get Peter to come to you. Like he's talking to, this vision comes to Cornelius to send for Peter. Now, Peter is staying at this guy by the name of Simon, not Simon Peter, a different Simon, but he's staying at this guy's house. I believe it was in Joppa. And Peter, okay, I'm just going to pick up reading in verse number 9. It says, the next day, as the Roman guards were traveling to visit Peter, Peter went up on the housetop about the 6th hour to pray. And he became hungry and wanted something to eat, but while they were preparing it, he fell into a trance and saw the heavens open and something like a great sheet descending, being let down by its 4 corners upon the earth. In it were all kinds of animals and reptiles and birds of the air, and there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, By no means, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And the voice came to him a second time, saying, What God has made clean, do not call common. This happened 3 times, and the thing was taken up at once to heaven. We're probably familiar with the story of Peter and the famous bed sheet full of animals. And from a time when you were a little kid, you probably thought, what kind of animals did they have in this sheet? I mean, were there lobsters and crabs, and were there pigs and all these different, what we think of and what we read in the Bible as like the clean and the unclean animals. It just says that all kinds of animals and reptiles. Now, I don't know. I'm kind of adventurous with food, but I don't remember the last reptile I ate. When we went to Florida a few years ago, we went to the seafood restaurant, and the kids' menu had what was on their menu as alligator bites. And Grant and Henry both had alligator bites, and they loved them. I had one, I tasted it. It tasted like sort of like a cross between a chicken nugget and like a fish stick kind of. I could say that was probably my first reptile, but there were reptiles in the sheet. So, we think of, the pigs and stuff like that, but there were also animals that maybe we don't even think of eating. And then it says, and birds of the air. So there was, in the Jewish custom, there were some birds that were allowed, but other birds that weren't allowed to be eaten. Basically, this story, we know the story that God is sending this sheet to this group of animals to tell Peter, I've called them clean, don't call them unclean. And we use a lot of like dietary thing, like, see, we're free to eat food. But we also know that there's a bigger impact here, because Peter's getting ready to go to Cornelius's house. Now, I just wanted to read that what's interesting is that God never tells Peter that this vision is bigger than food. Like, he doesn't tell him that there's Gentiles coming to your door. He says Peter was perplexed as to what the vision might mean, okay? And while Peter was pondering the vision, the Spirit said to him, behold, 3 men are looking for you. Rise and go down and accompany them without hesitation, for I have sent them. Like, that's all God says. God doesn't say these are Gentiles, because remember the story, like the Jews did not have anything to do with the Gentiles, and Cornelius and his group are Gentiles. Peter's a Jew, and so this is kind of a new thing. But God says, go down and meet these guys and go with them. He doesn't tell them they're Gentiles. So Peter, verse 21, Peter went down to the men and said, I am the one you're looking for. What is the reason for your coming? And they said, Cornelius, the centurion, an upright and God-fearing man, who is well spoken of by the whole Jewish nation, was directed by a holy angel to send for you to come to his house and to hear what you have to say. Okay, so they say, hey, we're here because our boss, a God-fearing man, saw a vision of an angel, and he told us to come get you, and you would come talk to him. Now, what I love about this moment is Peter has got a lot of stuff going on. Peter he's seen the vision of these animals, okay? God tells him there's these guys here. I've sent them. You need to go with them without hesitation. And now Peter has to make the connection. Now, how did he respond? In the Jewish custom, he would have said, let's step out into the street and talk about this. He would have said, hey, listen, there's a hotel, there's an inn down the street. You guys go stay there. Notice, I just want to show you verse 23. It says, so he invited them in to be his guests. Right there, this little bitty phrase tells you all you need to know about Peter. Peter already has made the connection that God saying with the clean, unclean is not talking about food. Now, yes, we can use it to talk about food, but there's something bigger. That God was saying that the gospel, that salvation by faith, that Jesus Christ came not just for the Jews, but for all people. And Peter made that recognition. And that verse where it says he invited them in to be his guest doesn't mean that he was like, hey, I got this room off the shed over here. You guys just go stay there. I'll follow you out tomorrow. It says he entertained them. He brought them into his home because he understood that God was going to use this. Now, the story continues, and we don't have time to go into it, but the story continues. He goes to Cornelius, and then they both have a conversation, and he sees the Holy Spirit come upon Cornelius. The challenge for us here, okay, little story, we know, big impact. We don't have, how many of us have this thought that God came for this person but not this person? Like, we don't get to make that choice. Like, we don't get to say, oh, this family who is a good family and they have good kids, they can come to our church, they can be a part of us, but this family over here who's this disheveled and disgruntled and they have a lot of problems and we don't worry about them. No, that's what God, all men are created in the image of God. And that beggar on the street deserves to hear about the gospel as much as the president of the United States, like whoever. Like the point is, as followers of Jesus Christ, we have been called to share our faith. To share our faith with our neighbors, the ones that have the nice family and the nice fence and the nice yard, and the ones that are going through difficult times. We are called to share our faith with that coworker who is a good guy, who is friendly and supportive, as well as that boss who treats us horribly, that boss who undermines us, that other employee who is constantly stabbing us in the back. Oh, this one deserves Jesus. That one doesn't deserve Jesus. Honestly, none of us deserve Jesus. So being called together to say, hey, what God has called us to do is to share our faith and not make God doesn't play favorites, as the verse says as it continues. There's so much more. I know I'm going a little long today, but I was so encouraged by that, and I wanted to encourage you as well to share that faith, to take that step, and invite them over for some pork chops or some bacon. There you go. There's your thought for today. I hope that you have a great week, everyone. We will see you next week as we continue through our Wednesday updates. Have a good one.